Today on Investigate TV Plus, customers coming in for a boost of vitamins and minerals.
It's become so prevalent that consumers make the assumption, well, surely if it's all out here, then it must be okay.
But we uncover how a lack of regulations and oversight in the growing IV therapy industry could put people at risk.
There has to be accountability in this because we're talking about people's lives.
Then ditching devices for dirt.
A stick can be a microphone. A stick can be a writing utensil.
How trading screen time for the great outdoors can help craft a child's behavior.
Kids that are really struggling inside, it's like it melts it away magically.
Plus, it's a morning routine that builds bonds between fathers and sons. But not everyone has their dad there to direct.
He served for about 4 years, died February 9th, 2019, and I was about 9 years old.
How these lessons are helping boys heal from loss and honor their fallen heroes.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. IV hydration therapy is a rapidly expanding multi-billion-dollar industry, but we've uncovered regulations aren't keeping up. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Clinics promise to treat hangovers, vitamin deficiencies, and much more. But critics question what's in these drips, who's mixing them, and who's keeping an eye on the providers.
Investigative reporter Josie Sturman speaks with critics concerned that unlicensed and unsupervised operations could put customers at risk.
Look on the internet and you'll find a virtually endless menu with options to solve any health problem you're dealing with. We found the outrageous and the ordinary, with treatments advertising help for everything from Alzheimer's and Crohn's to cancer, Parkinson's, and the common cold. Websites claiming they've got it in the bag. At IV clinics and med spas that are popping up across the country.
I think the problem is that it's become so prevalent that consumers make the assumption, well, surely if it's all out here, then it must be okay.
As the president of the Texas Medical Board, Dr. Sharif Zafran knows otherwise.
Because the way it is right now, it really is kind of a free-for-all.
And our national investigative team discovered it's operating in a medical gray area.
So the main worry is actually who is staffing them, who is deciding what kind of hydration therapy is being given. It became really something that we took even more seriously when we had a death that happened.
All right, Texas 99, welcome back to another edition of the Dog Patrol. Buzz Russell here, getting ready for another big weekend.
Buzz Russell's world revolves around a microphone. The meters on his board are a heartbeat. It skips sometimes when he looks at an empty desk just outside his studio door.
It was a hit to the community.
Felt like a ripple effect.
It really was. It was like throwing a big rock in a pond.
Jennifer Cleveland was a rock to so many. The mother and wife had been a waitress at a roadside restaurant for years. The infectious smile she served customers built relationships and made her feel like a perfect fit for radio sales at Buzz's station. A new client, a med spa offering IV treatments, would be one of her first and her last.
You don't expect to get that call. And so now we're trying to figure out, okay, what went wrong?
In July 2023, Jennifer visited her client, Lux Med Spa. Records from the Texas Medical Board show she got a fairly common IV infusion from the owner, whose attorney says she was a phlebotomist, the kind of medical professional who draws blood. Board records say the IV Jennifer was given contained vitamins and a dangerous mix of prescription electrolytes known to cause complications. Within 2 hours, she was dead from a sudden cardiac arrest.
And in these situations where you literally have someone's life in your hands, there has to be a procedure.
But there were many missteps, according to the Texas Medical Board, which found there were no medically licensed or experienced staff at the med spa the day Jennifer died. The medical director was an anesthesiologist more than 100 miles away. The board said he failed to properly supervise the unlicensed owner.
Do you see this as the practice of medicine?
Absolutely. Even if it's just IV fluids by itself, those are prescribed medications.
But that's not how it's handled across the board, with some states admitting they have no rules or regulations to guide the industry. Our national investigative team looked at state laws across the country and discovered those that do vary widely on who can own or oversee these businesses, what licenses are required for practitioners, what monitoring or physician relationship is required. Even who's allowed to ultimately stick in the needle isn't uniform.
These things are coming up faster than the states have been able to come up with laws to address them specifically.
In just the last 3 years, we found medical, nursing, or pharmacy boards in at least 8 states, including Alabama, Mississippi, and Nebraska, have issued specific position statements to lay out exactly who can do what when it comes to IV therapy. They're not laws, though. They're merely guidance.
I think they help quite a bit. I think it empowers us as physicians and as practitioners to say, okay, we see what you need and what you want. We will build around that.
Dr. Chris Seitz is an architect of the IV therapy industry.
I'm going to send this conversation to the clinic.
He sits on the scientific advisory board of the American IV Association, a group created by the industry. Weeks ago, it released a framework to raise industry standards with the goal of protecting patients.
Done the right way is very safe. Not done the right way, there are risks.
Risks that may get blurred in a social media world where IV clinics pop up in your feed as casual beach setups and cheeky after-party pics. But no matter where the drip happens, Seitz and the IV Association say there have to be clear protocols in place, licensed providers, and actual medical evaluations done before treatment.
We believe as a scientific committee that there needs to be a patient-provider relationship established.
But not everyone is operating to his standards. We found doctors across the nation disciplined for failures related to remote oversight of IV clinics, including the doctor medically directing the IV clinic that injected Jennifer Cleveland. His license was initially suspended, then restricted.
There has to be accountability in this because we're talking about people's lives.
We repeatedly contacted the doctor overseeing the clinic involved in Jen Cleveland's death, but got no response. His license remains restricted, and the case is being investigated by the Texas Attorney General.
The med spa's attorney says there is no criminal liability that should be attributed to the owner, with no proof the IV treatment is responsible for her death. Still to come, delayed bags can cause chaos on trips.
With having to buy all the hygiene, undergarments, everything, I spent over $1,000.
We explain how airlines are required to help travelers and the steps you can take if your suitcase is slow to arrive.
But first, keeping kids disconnected from screens.
Our family values that outdoor playing, like a lot. And so, but as working parents, sometimes it's hard to engage your kids outdoor that much.
We take an in-depth look at a unique approach to get children outside, plus ways parents can help limit the consequences of excess screen time.
Each day, teens spend about 5 hours fixated on a screen, and that does not include time spent looking at technology in classrooms.
The pandemic increased the use of screens in schools, but several years later, there's growing concern about the amount of time children are spending in front of them.
Research from the Mayo Clinic finds excessive screen time in kids can lead to loss of social skills, behavior problems, less or irregular sleep, obesity, and even violence. To help offset the impacts, doctors recommend kids get outside.
Reporter Caroline Hecker explains how a school in St. Louis is ditching screen time for sunshine.
Nature
Here's the long one
in the palm of her hand.
Look at his long one.
The gleeful discovery of an earthworm cannot be replicated in a classroom. That's exactly what the Early Childhood Center in the Parkway School District wants. Transforming the outdoors into a classroom free of screens and technology.
Indoors, we feel like we need stuff, we need manipulatives, and in the outdoors, it's amazing what a stick can become. A stick can be a wand, a stick can be a microphone, a stick can be a writing utensil in the sand or the dirt.
Okay.
Elena Amaralt says children at the center can spend upwards of 5 hours a day outside, enjoying both free play and structured lessons. Something as simple as jumping in a mud puddle can become a creative game or competition. Activities can encompass fun and learning while also hitting on social cues like taking turns and conflict resolution.
We have seen just behaviors that have significantly improved. It's like kids that are really struggling inside, it's like it melts it away magically. We don't see those behavior concerns outside.
Being outside is more than enjoying the sunny days.
How's it taste?
Teachers bring their lesson plans outside during winter and even on rainy days.
And when you have the tablets and the TVs, the iPads, the computers, they lose that sense of their own natural imagination, creativity.
For many parents, it can be a tricky balance to strike amidst the demands of everyday life.
We try and get a good balance. Like, I am the best mom I can be when sometimes I take breaks. And some of those breaks involve having a screen.
And experts say moderation is key, as is what your children are doing or watching during screen time.
Our family values that outdoor playing, like, a lot. And so, but as working parents, sometimes it's hard to engage your kids outdoor that much throughout the week.
Both women say important social and emotional skills can be learned during outdoor playtime. But sometimes it's not practical.
So I'm like a big outdoor person, but having 15 minutes of tablet time while I make dinner saves my sanity too.
I cannot count this.
In the several hours we spent outside, none of the kids ever asked for a phone or tablet to play with. Instead,
This is the slide.
they used their imaginations and creativity to learn and interact with others on a playground with infinite possibilities.
Eye doctors say sitting indoors in front of a screen can also increase your risk for nearsightedness. It's also known as myopia. It's an eye condition that research predicts half the world could have by 2050. If your child is in a more traditional school setting, doctors recommend parents offset screen time by getting their kids outside for about 90 minutes a day.
The thought behind that is it can offset some of the up-close work and the demands, because a lot of learning nowadays is, online and on the iPad.
To learn more about limiting screen time and ways to help save your child's eyesight, head to InvestigateTV.com and search nearsightedness.
Still ahead, lost luggage found days later sitting on a tarmac. A mother flew to Florida for a cruise only for her bags to miss the boat.
We ended up finding a Burlington. Thank goodness, because I know they have sets.
We'll break down what to do if you find yourself in a similar situation and stuck without a suitcase. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
It's a problem that can derail your vacation and leave you with nothing but the shirt on your back, lost or delayed bags at the airport.
And thousands of bags are mishandled daily, and airlines are required to help you out, but their policies vary.
Reporter Susan Campbell explains what to do if your suitcase doesn't make it to your destination.
I'm traveling with kids. I want to get there.
Nicole Cameron just got back from a dream 7-day cruise.
This is one of the ports at Coco Cay.
The clothes she and her 5-year-old are wearing in these photos are brand new, purchased in a pinch the night before boarding their ship because their checked luggage never made it from Phoenix to Fort Lauderdale.
We ended up finding a Burlington, thank goodness, because I know they have sets. But with having to buy new luggage, with having to buy all the hygiene, undergarments, everything, I spent over $1,000.
7 days worth of stuff.
I tried to be very cost efficient. The swimsuits were $12.99 a piece.
At the same time, Nicole was trying to get answers from Spirit Airlines. Where were the 2 suitcases? For days, no answers.
A couple days into the cruise, I get a call from Alaskan Airlines, and they're telling me, well, Nicole, we have your bag. I'm like, what? They're like, we have your bag. And he said it was found on the tarmac. It was untagged. It was found on the tarmac, and the only reason they knew that bag was mine was because of my old information tag that I had on there. The other bag eventually was found on the 5th day, but it was found by Delta.
When checked bags are delayed to their destination, travelers have rights.
You need to contact the airline as soon as possible, and that airline will start the process of locating your checked bag.
In the meantime, U.S. Department of Transportation regulations require airlines to compensate passengers for reasonable incidental expenses. Things like a change of clothes, deodorant and toothpaste, maybe an umbrella if it's raining at your destination.
With DOT just really having eyes on the airlines moving forward, we should really see expenses, especially when it comes to things like delayed bags or lost luggage, to be even more speedy than they have in the past.
But Going's Katie Nastro says the claims process may be a negotiation.
And when it comes to delayed bags and sort of having a back and forth with the airlines, it's really important to have receipts and timestamps on those receipts that match when your bag is delayed.
Nicole filed a claim with Spirit Airlines immediately.
I just want them to be accountable. I want them to have a better policy for when mistakes do happen. And, you know, I do think people need to be reimbursed, especially if you had to spend extra money that you didn't think you needed to spend. I just think there should be a reimbursement process, a better one.
We reached out to Spirit Airlines, but they didn't respond or answer questions regarding this story. And before you even zip up your suitcase, take a picture or video showing what's in it. This will help you should you have to make a claim and itemize what you packed.
Up next, a rite of passage for young men.
Today will be the first time that I've ever shaved.
But for some, Dad isn't there to teach them.
See how mentors are stepping in to help sons of fallen soldiers. You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
If you think back to your teen years, there are probably a few life lessons that stand out.
For instance, learning how to shake someone's hand, how to drive, or for the guys out there, the first time your dad showed you how to shave. Some consider it the moment a boy starts to become a man.
And as reporter Heather Graff found out, there's a growing effort underway to ensure the sons of our nation's fallen military heroes have someone to teach them.
For a man who's been doing it his whole life, the act of shaving might seem mundane. But think back to when you were just a kid.
Today will be the first time that I've ever shaved.
And imagine your dad isn't here to guide you through it.
My father was an E4 in the Navy. He served for about 4 years, died February 9th, 2019, and I was about 9 years old.
Ben Sullivan is now 14, and his mom Anita says the rites of passage, typically shared between father and son, have been difficult for both Ben and his brother.
It's been a big part of our grief and healing journey, is figuring out as a mom to boys who are going through the teenage years how to manage that and help them through it.
Enter the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, known as TAPS, a nonprofit that works to support bereaved military families across the country.
We always look for the moments to give back. You know, how can we help? What do people need? Meeting them where they are is so important.
TAPS Vice President Diana Hosford says it was a few years ago when the organization first heard this concern.
What started with one kid who just didn't have his dad to teach him, who said, I need to learn how to shave.
And since then,
the most important thing is hydration.
With the help of volunteers like John Jarecki.
There you go, just rub it on your face. There you go.
They've built a nationwide network of mentors who can step in to help these young men.
Nice and easy, and you're just going straight down.
Boosting their skills and their spirits with each stroke of the razor.
Perfect, that's perfect.
I thought it was very cool because a lot of children just don't have that experience to do it with their dad.
Look at me. You're doing great, man.
Thank you.
As he works with Ben, John chooses his words carefully.
I'm having this kind of quiet conversation with his father. and like, okay, what would you say to him next?
Because he knows firsthand how much it means.
My father was Captain John Jarecki Jr. He was an F4 pilot, went to the Air Force Academy, graduated in '72. His F4 went down in a training accident January 14th, 1981.
And you were how old?
I was 5 years old.
Growing up without his own dad, John remembers the grief felt in those milestone moments of adolescence.
I was too embarrassed to ask anybody how to tie a tie or how to shave or how to shake someone's hand.
So when you were a kid, how did you learn how to shave?
Trial and error. It was a painful process. It is a classic secondary loss, yes.
And so, TAPS and its team now hold these learn to shave lessons as often as needed for the sons of our fallen military heroes.
Go like this.
Sometimes in group setting.
1, 2, 3 taps. Taps.
And sometimes one-on-one.
Pretty smooth, honestly.
But never alone.
It feels nice.
Never again.
Having been through it like these kids, this is my responsibility to make sure that I'm there for them. They just miss their dad.
I think one of the most important things that the mentor said was they just miss their dad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just coming together and talking things out and learning those extra life lessons.
It broke my heart when he said that at the end, yet seeing them be there for those kids and see so many in that room learning how to do things that you really just take advantage of, all the things that like your dad or your parents taught you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful program.
It is.
The Learn to Shave program is just one of many ways that TAPS and its mentors aim to be there for military families and children.
Yeah, to learn more or get involved, check out their website at taps.org. And that's it for us here on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zer.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, America's population is rapidly getting older, and experts say we need to rethink housing for seniors.
It gives you a feeling of, different feeling if you are talking or seeing some children rather than some old people.
We examine the shift to intergenerational living and the benefits of the elderly and children coming together under one roof.